What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Rahul's channel. Yeah, that's me. Today I'm going to talk about my Anaheim Regionals experience. Not Anaheim, Texas. I was in Texas. Dallas Regionals experience report and the deck list that I played. One sec, I'm pulling up my matches while we're doing this. Um, so I'm going to talk about the deck list. I'm going to talk about what I played, why I played it, and then we're going to get into my report. Okay. So as you guys know, I love my Vespiquen, and so I decided I'm going to run this back one more time. Going into the event, I had been testing Unknown Damage with Peter Kiko, his Exodia list that he made day 2 with, and I really, really, really liked it. But the night before, I was testing in Zoroark Garbodor, and I couldn't win games. I just couldn't get the job done, and that scared me a lot, and I just couldn't pull a trigger on it. And I knew a lot of people were going to play Archie's Blastoise, and this deck has a very good matchup against it, and I felt like I could deal with it. I decided to cut the Glade pieces and the Maxis, because while they're really good, it felt like I was very dependent on having to get them out turn 1, behind the draw engine of the deck, and like yada yada. So I just thought maybe I'd go back to old school Vespiquen Flareon and just overwhelm people. A good friend, Chris Leandro, sorry, he got top 16 this weekend with a 2 cards off list. He pretty much did the same thing, and he just got to get in there. That's pretty much the whole point of the deck. So we've got the 4/4 Vespiquen, 4/4 Flareon. That's your attackers. That's your meat of the deck. I don't want any less. I love them. I love these bad boys. 2 Shaman, 1 Lele. That's your setup cards in the 4 Unknown as well. The execute is good for the drawing. We play 2 Mime because against the Archie's Blastoise matchup, a lot of the time they're going to Guzma Mime. You take a return knockout, and then they'll set up for the Towering Splash to just wipe your board. But if you have 2 Mimes, then they can't really do that. And even if they have a lab, you can try to force them early with a Parallel City, or just kind of chase the Blastoises down. So it just puts a lot of pressure on them if you've got 2 Mimes. 2 Oranguru. The list started out with 4, actually. Chris stuck with 4, because it's really good against Zoro Exodia and just drawing a couple extra cards. And then you have Parallel to pitch them away if you need to. So it's not like the end-all be-all of having them in your deck. But they're very, very good to open against Zoro Exodia, because you can just stay alive. Now, I played Oricorio because I was actually very convinced there'd be a lot of Vespiquen this weekend. And I thought it would be very good for the mirror. I hit 1 mirror and I lost it to Chris. But this did come in handy to win a game earlier in the day to a different matchup. But as I'll go into my details, I pretty much lost only games to Oricorio. So this was definitely a tech to be played this weekend, because Vespiquen was the 4th most represented deck, thanks to RK9 Labs' statistical report. So let's go to the beat of the deck. 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Compressor, 4 VS Seeker. That's not going to change. That's never going to change. And 4 DC. Those are never going to change. Comp Search, you can still play a dowsing if you want to, but I think Comp is way better just to set up all the time. I like to set up. I like to get what I need out of my deck when I need it. So, 1 Stretcher, everyone else didn't play it, but I think that I was a little more scared of having reliability issues, so I kept the Stretcher in. It's more of like a comfort pick and like just being a little safer. It lets you pitch some stuff. But if I had cut the Stretcher, I would have gone a 3 Oranguru and just called it a day. Or maybe I would have played a Silent Lab. No, in hindsight, I would have played a Silent Lab in the spot of the Stretcher. 2 Special Charge, normal stuff. 1 Parallel, normal stuff. 1 Choice, 1 Float, normal stuff. 1 N, 1 Teammates, 3 Juniper, 1 Guzma. Pretty usual stuff. The Blower became a Faba that I was testing, because we just have like continuous use of the Faba against things like Lucario, against things like Zoroark, that you only have 4 DCE. Once you've gotten rid of all 4 of their DCE, sometimes you can just win the game on the back of that, if you have the time to do so. 1 Chorus, usually just for Zoroark, so you just draw a ton of cards. But it came in handy very few times throughout the day. So let's get into my match report. So round 1, I'm sitting across the table from Travis Zabala, and he is telling me that this is an unfavorable matchup for him because he's playing Zoropod. And I'm like, all right, cool. This is going to be a good one for me, because Zoropod is one of a very favored matchup. And if I play Oricorio, it's a 50-50, specifically because he can hit for weakness. But we get the repair, because I think we had like 20 last minute entrants, or like we were like 8 short of 800, and then we were at like 818 or something. And so we had like a lot of people joined in last minute, and then we got bumped into a repair, and the repair put me up against Grant Manley, a teammate on ARG, and Grant is playing Drampagard, the same list that Blaine Hill got top 4 with 2 Sigilyph, 4 Parallel Oricorio. So both games I pretty much drew pretty poorly, and he just Oricorio'd me to death after getting early Toxin up. Grant's a good player, so he knows how to play the matchup. I just kind of picked them both up. Round 2, I go up against Wyatt Connolly. He's playing Zork Barbarical. Game 1, I'm just doing my thing, and I have to pitch like 3 VS Seekers really early. And then he evolves his Ditto into a Barbarical, and I was like, oh, wait, what? And I lost. Barbarical means I can't attach special energies from my hand if it's their stadium. Game 2, it's a pretty close one, but he gets a double prize penalty for trading a third time with only 2 Zorks out. And it leaves me with only having to find Faba DCE for 1 turn to just take a knockout, because I was able to take 2 prizes before the Barbarical hit the board. And so hitting that Faba DCE combo was very simple. I think I still would have won had I not gotten the double prize penalty, because he had 3 prizes to my 4 when I took those 2. So even if he finds a knockout the next turn, I would have been able to subsequently just have to find the Faba, like VS Seeker DCE combo to just end the game once more, because I was hit critical mass for damage. Game 3 got a little trickier because I wasn't setting up properly. I wasn't finding what I needed to find, and I was way behind on knockouts. And I looked through Wyatt's discard, noticed that he had his Guzma gone and 3 VS Seekers, and a DCE was gone, and special charge. And so he had a DCE on the bench dude, and so I bring up his Barbarical, and I pass. He goes Guzma, knockout. I go, okay, my turn. Guzma up the Barbarical again, pass. He goes draw, special charge 2 DCEs in, or 1 DCE in, attached to the active Barbarical, pass. I go draw for turn, use my... I have 2 VS Seekers left, so I use a raw Faba out of hand, and he concedes the game because he doesn't have any more. He only had 1 DC left, and he can't get at the active, and he had like a few cards left. So I'm shocked I managed to pull that one out, but it was a relief. Round 3, I go up against another top 16er, a well-known name in the community, Alexander Shabansky, playing his tried and true Primal Groudon. Game 1, I'm pretty much firing on all cylinders. I'm pretty much killing everything I need to be killing. And the game comes down to, I have like 8 cards in deck and he ends me. And I basically need to find a DCE to break Sash and then a DCE to kill him the next turn. And out of like my 3 cards, I had like DCE, VS Seekers. I just won. Which I got pretty fortunate because I did have like half my deck was blanks. So I could have drawn the blanks and I would have lost the game. But I did that. In the second game, he opens Tromp Groudon, attaches Sash and Energy. And I went into Floatstone Lele to hit him on turn 1 to break the Sash. He hits me, and then I retreated into the Vespiquen, paralleled away my Shaman and dude, and then killed him. And then he had Wob, pushed up the Wob, ends me, and then doesn't hit another basic, and I won. Very anticlimactic. Round 4 against Lance Woolley playing Turbo Turtles. This matchup was abysmal for my man, but it was a very fun match we had, and I just kind of did what I had to do and take the prizes. He was on he was at 4-2-2 when he dropped the tournament because it looks like day 2 was his ultimate goal, but I'm very happy he made it that far at least because day 2 would have been really cool to see Turbo Turtles. Round 5, I went up against Stefan Ivanov, another very, very good player who has, won our last IC and a very, very good friend of mine. So we were playing, and he was playing Zorak Garbodor with 1 Vespiquen tech, same list as Fabian, who got top 8, and so Stefan, and I played game 1, I believe I just reached critical mass too fast, and I overwhelmed him. And then game 2 was something similar, I want to say. And I just was able to... No, I think I lost game 2. And then game 3, we got to a point where his N had to stick on me, but I had thinned my deck to like 5 cards, and it was just over. Lights out, kind of thing. Round 6, I went against Jason Birch, who's playing Buzzwole. Just Buzzwole stuff. It looks like Buzzwole and Friends. But he was playing an Oricorio, and both games he just Karina'd almost directly for the Oricorio. Just kind of told me, like, or Nestball for Oricorio. He's just like, hey, I have this. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And so, like, 2 games went by, like, very quickly. I couldn't do anything about it. He just killed me with Oricorio 1 turn, then stretched it for the Oricorio, did it again. I could never end him out of it, which was really unfortunate. So I lost it in, like, 5 minutes. now I'm at 4-2. I went up against Ethan Rucker the following round. Ethan was playing Archie's Toys, so my first Archie's of the day. I opened mine. I asked Ethan if he played a lab. He said I do not. And then the 2 games were very quick from there on out. It just was very one-sided because he couldn't deal with either of my mimes, and I just was able to kill everything. He tried to Guzma stall me for a couple turns, but eventually I just got out of it, and I won. Round 8 went against Frankie Torres. My man's got Sylveon stuff, and it looks like he's playing Sylveon, so I made the joke. I'm like, are you playing Sylveon? Because, you know, you got a Sylveon mat and deck box and stuff, and he was like, yeah, and I was like, okay. And so he shows me, I'm feeling good about Sylveon, because I think it's a very favored matchup for Vespiquen. But he mulligans and shows me a Karen, and I was like, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. And so game 1, I had the option of either Sycamoring after his first ribbon to try to just kill him, because I think I had 9 in discard before I started my turn. And instead of Sycamoring and trying to just get the like choice band or another compressor and just have the cards and just go ham on turn 1, I end instead, and that end ended up costing me the game because the end gave him a Nest Ball into a Pokemon, and he proceeded to then the following turn ribbon, and then I didn't have a follow-up end, so he just max push and Karen me, and then max push and Karen me, and the game ended, like right there. Game 2, I went first. Very anticlimactic game, this one. I went attach. Turn 2, hit him after ending his search, but I didn't go too ham on like stuff. I had like 7 or 8 in the discard. Like, I hit him for like 100, and like I didn't use too many resources besides like a Sycamore and a compressor. And the following turn, he just went Fab or Enhanced Hammer, I don't remember which one, and I just killed him. Game 3 was the most insane game that has ever occurred. Like, the most insane pop-off. Like, turn 1, I did a bunch of stuff, and I left my board with an active Combi and nothing else, because I, like, was convinced he didn't play DCEs at this point. I may have been wrong, but, you know, he didn't have a chance to ribbon for it, so if he's got it raw, he can have it. And then he... yeah, so I was like, okay, he doesn't have it. And then he does his ribbon, and then parallels me to 20 less. And so I managed to, at one point, I like fast forward, things are happening during my turn. I'm like losing track of stuff because I'm playing so fast. At one point, my board is 3 unknowns and 2 shamans. I get rid of the 2 shamans after, you know, getting rid of the stadium. Faba. Get rid of the 3 unknowns. Now my hand, I can end now. But I said, do I want to end? No, I'm going to go for game. Computer search my whole hand away. Computer search, not for Sycamore or anything. Computer search for the stretcher. Stretcher the shaman. Shaman for 6. I now draw into 3 Ultra Balls. Ultra Ball stuff. Ultra Ball stuff. Now I have 2 cards in hand. I get both Orangurus. Put both Orangurus down. It's 2 cards in hand. One's an Ultra Ball. One's like a Sycamore or something. I have like 4 cards in deck. I go Oranguru for 1. Or Ultra Ball those 3 cards away. Oranguru for the last 3. Choice band. Knockout for game. And that was insanely crazy. I think I overkilled by a large margin because I had like 20 something Pokemon in this card, but I just wanted to make sure I got there. And it was like actually insane that I managed to pull that off. Frankie was a huge good sport about it, and like I really enjoyed playing you, buddy. You got me sweating. Round 9, I hit Archie's. I hit Florida Stoice, one of my buddies, Justin Lambert. So I IDs both in the day 2. I'm very confident I can take that matchup because it's the one that I did test a lot. Especially against that list because they are good friends of mine. So I went into day 2, 6-2-1, like 60th seed or something. I knew if I hit the right matchups, there was a lot of Archies in day 2, and there was a lot of Oranguru and like hate for me though. So I knew if I hit the hate, I would do very poorly, and if I hit the decent matchups, I would flourish. And so it was just, I'm leaving it up to fate on my matchups. I went up against Justin Bakari round 10. First time ever playing him. He's one of the best players in the game, in my opinion. Justin was playing Zoragar with a Wob and a Oranguru. Game 1, I just couldn't do anything. I just scooped very early. Game 2, I had a shot to win because I needed to kill his Zoroark, going down to 2 prizes, leaving him at like 4, and then or 5, he goes Oranguru, and then I go end, kill the Oranguru, and then I can just sweep the game from there because his board was just completely dead. But he was smart, never put himself under toxin, which is the number one way that Zoragar players lose. If they toxin themselves, then I can just sweep, and they don't have their draw, so I can just keep ending, and I'll win. But Bakari played it very well, and I just lost the series. And so, start the day with 0-1, who cares? Then I'm up against Jackson Bruning. Jackson's playing Archies, I'm pretty sure. And he did not play a lab either, but he played double Articuno. So he had a shot, but didn't really do much. I won 2 very quick games and, packed it up. Round 12, I went against Carter Barsh. Carter's playing Buzzgrub Shrine. Game 1, I got a DPL because I played teammates when something didn't die and looked and fanned my deck, which is very silly because I'm just used to something dying every turn, like playing Vespiquen. I didn't even need to play. I already had like the knockout on board. I was just like, oh, I'll just get stuff for next turn, I guess. But I ended up winning that game. Carter had a Bunnelby, which was really, really scary because he could have gotten me with it, and I was like actually terrified that if he Bunny, like I was keeping my deck low, but like Bunny would have gotten me at one point, I think. Game 2, I played like a wimp, and I went for a Faba play on his Garbodor to try to set up for another turn instead of having to like take the knockout there and then try to find find stuff the next turn and just take a setup turn. But that left me 1 turn too far behind to win the game, and so I lost. And game 3, I had probably one of the most insane starts, like double compressor. No, it was like I opened compressor like comp search. I got rid of my entire hand basically. Compressor, comp search, Sycamore, and I had a fully set up board, and I took a turn 2 knockout with a Guzma attach on his Slugma, leaving his board like double Trubbish, I think. And he asked how many items. I said 3. How many Pokemon? Like 12. And he said, I'm picking this one up, buddy. Good luck in further. And I said, thank you. And we moved on. And then I went up against Preston Ellis in round 13, playing Rayquaza Xurkitree. Game 1, he opened Xurkitree. He's convinced I'm playing Silent Lab, which I am not. So I'm just bluffing that I have it. And so he's he top 8 at the last regionals with this deck. So he's a little scared. Game 1, he goes Xurkitree attack with a second attack, and then goes, have you been milling cards? And I go, is that what the attack does? Because I've actually never been attacked by Xurkitree. And he calls the judge on himself, and because it's his fault for not clearly stating what the attack does and making sure he got a game loss, I got a warning. I did not call the judge. I thought I would get the game loss, so I didn't do it. I'm completely honest. But I also, knew that it would be a game loss in my favor. But because it had happened multiple times throughout the game, he got one. Game 2 happened, doubles Aurora, and I did my turn 1, and then turn 2, he simply went Ninja Boy into a Xurkitree. I killed the Zorora in the active. He put the Xurkitree up, attacked me, and then game 2 was lights out. And then game 3, he opened Xurkitree once again, and he benched a Marshadow and a Sudowoodo just to not bench, but we both kind of understood that the game was over, and I just kind of picked it up at a certain point, like, it was over. And then he asked if I actually played lab. I told him I didn't, and he was like, oh my god, kind of thing. But I was hoping that the lab ruse would bait him into benching something when he didn't have to a couple turns when it looked like I could take the game. But it didn't. It never worked out in my favor, so it's okay. And then round 14, I went against Chris Leandro, the creator, or the genius behind this list. And Chris was at 26 match points, I was at 25. So Chris and I were discussing, and I realized after doing a little bit of math that 31 would be bubble for top 16. And so even if I won my next 2 matches, I would not be probably secure for 16 just because of how low I had started on the day and the people I was beating. So I made the conscious decision to simply just concede to Chris because his bracket had a lot of Archies, and I would probably go into a bracket of Zorogarb, which is, not bad, but not fine. So rather than do that, I probably just gave it to him because my next move would have more than likely been to ID into top 32 if I had won that, beaten Chris, which I'm 100% sure I could have with the Oricorio. He knew I played it too. So I simply just gave it to him and said, good luck, I hope you get top 16. And then I went up against Grant Manley again, and Grant and I could have ID'd, but because we played the tables next to us, ID'd. But in Grant's defense, he didn't know his resistance, but he was scared that he would bubble top 64. And he would have at 65th, I think, and I got 66. So, like, I had the best resistance by far in the room, like 70-something%. But the game went very similar to the first day. One of the games I bricked entirely, and one of the games I had a shot at winning, but I, like, completely tilted off the face of the earth. Because I was just done with the tournament, and I remember I played an N, and he's like, where's your hand? And I was like, I shuffled it into my discard pile. So that's what happens if you play 2 long days of Pokemon. Your hand gets shuffled into your discard pile, and the tournament ends. That being said, this deck was, again, incredibly fun, incredibly happy I played it again. I say this every time, but this is probably my last time playing Vespiquen in an expanded event until the meta looks better for it. I am now at 401 points, and I will be in Mexico in 2 weeks, so you guys can catch me there. But other than that, I would probably cut this for a lab and cut this for a Lucamine. But other than that, the list I think was pretty perfect. And now that Maxis is gone, you can't even play that anymore. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, leave me a like. If you would like to see more content, please subscribe. Other than that, you guys are awesome. And then after this next weekend, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitch, because we're going to be popping off for the next 3 weeks, guys. 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Let's get it.